YGO ZEXAL has been my very first and yet my number one personal favorite Yu-Gi-Oh series of all time, ever since the day when I actually first saw it with my own eyes in one of the episodes since when I was in grade 5 primary school. It was just like a remarkable thing that just happened straight before my eyes. Though technically speaking, in the original classics of Yu-Gi-Oh, I actually never was interested when I was younger, but until when, obviously, Zexal came out, that is what brought my attention. I just always assumed it was just like a bad card game or anything like that. Or something was just didn't click to me in the slightest when it came to me just watching the original classics. But then again, after time went by, I actually started to get used to Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, the classics, and I also did like Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc-V when the time it came out, and along with Yu-Gi-Oh! Francise. Aside from GX and 5Ds, I watched them in a different area of platform while watching it. But you know what? At least I now actually like Yu-Gi-Oh! In general now, but Yu-Gi-Oh! ZEXAL has got to be my number one favorite. But the reason why I'm actually talking about is that what actually happened at the end of the very final season of Yu-Gi-Oh! ZEXAL. So let's talk about it. Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Madog, and welcome back to another Math Theory, where today we're actually going to be talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! ZEXAL. And yes, as I said in that introduction, yes, that what happened in the very last episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! ZEXAL itself to end the entire series of Yu-Gi-Oh! ZEXAL was that there was a new evil that was gathering upon Astral World. And guess what? That means that Astral, all of his people in Astral World, like Elephas or Eliza, were all in big trouble. So technically speaking, Yuma and all of his friends, all of his formidable foes that turned him into allies, all teamed up to take out the new evil that was invading Astral's homeworld. The only question is, with that being said, does this actually mean that we're going to be having another Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie? Or should I say, a Yu-Gi-Oh! ZEXAL movie? They just can't be able to click it off and just start with whatever the heck just happened with Yu-Gi-Oh! ZEXAL. Because think about it. When it came to Yu-Gi-Oh! Darksiders Dimension, that was created in 2016. And that was technically a long time ever since the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series actually ended. Because that was way before that. So I'm just wondering to myself, they should probably make a Yu-Gi-Oh! ZEXAL movie due to the fact that what was actually coming after next, after when, Barian World was, technically Barian World wasn't destroyed, but it was at least saved, and all the Barian Emperors were turned back into humans thanks to Astral and rewritten the history inside the Numeron Code. And at least that's one of those things that happened. Not supposed to mention that Astral did bring back all the people from the dead. All of them. And Kai Tenjo was one of them. And so was Rio Castle, aka Marin, one of the 7 Barian Emperors. Which also includes with Nash, along with the other Barian Emperors, but you get the idea. All of those people were gone. They were all defeated, some defeated by duels, and most of them because of the 7 Emperors being absorbed by Vector, who has then afterwards been absorbed by Don Thousand, the great Barian deity. Though now we have to think for ourselves, now that everyone is all back together and they're all basically friends now, this means that the entire gang is going to be facing an incredible new evil, and it's surprising that it had to take all of them to do it. So if all of them are going to definitely, travel to Astral World, then this is going to be huge. I feel like if they're going to do something like this, they're going to be having a really big action-packed movie coming along to do an ending like that to end off all of Yu-Gi-Oh! ZEXAL, and then afterwards probably do a movie about that. And there are a few things that I want to also talk about to why there should be a freaking Yu-Gi-Oh! ZEXAL movie. First off, number one, who is this new evil? I mean, seriously, if they're gonna say that the new evil is gathering around to invade Astral World, then surely it has to be something, right? If we take a look closely at those little sparks of energy, there's a little bit of blue and there's a little bit of red. Red was to technically represent Barian World's chaos energy. So if it's Barian World's chaos energy, who the heck would it be this time? And why would anyone in Barian World actually use that sort of power against Astral World again? All, as I said, the Barian Emperors would turn back into humans, right? Well, technically, there are more than just the Barian Emperors, remember? Now, of course, Don Thousand is already defeated, so we can't really include him unless he might actually return. Maybe, just maybe. It's highly unlikely, to be honest, even though he was a really good final boss villain for the series. I don't know whether it's a possibility or not. Don't forget, there are still, and aside from Don Thousand, other Barians like Nash's army. Think about it. Nash, aka Reginald Shark Castle, who technically turned out to be the actual leader of the Barians. Ruler of Barian World itself. So, technically speaking, Shark's people, when he was Nash, are still in Barian World, ever since they died in a fearsome battle when it was Nash versus Vector. And there's only one final Barian that I could possibly include, Iris. Because guess what? Iris is supposed to be a Rio Castle lookalike, but she kind of died in the process during that battle as well, while Nash and Vector were dueling. So technically speaking, it could be possible that Iris could be the new villain. Just think about it. A girl like her that could actually be able to possess the power of Barian now, it's a little concerning, but I feel like that's a little bit interesting at least because she's the only one out there, and maybe there might have to be some kind of connection to Rio Castle and Shark still, which could be a possibility, but I'm still not that quite sure. And not to also forget to mention Alito's friend, the King. Well, he was technically young back in the days, but back in the days when Alito was human, him and his friend, the King himself, were actually best friends until Don Thousand manipulated the King in order to, purposely betray him. And to be honest, that was literally unforgivable, man. I really felt for Alito that day. That was very harsh indeed. It could be possible that the King in that timeline as well could also be in Barian World. That depends though, because maybe he could possibly be the leader, or maybe him and Iris are technically working together as well. Now, it's a big possibility. He could be possibly a Barian himself now due to the fact of what happened, but honestly, I don't know when exactly the King died after that, when Alito was then eliminated and taken to Barian World by Don Thousand's orders. That might be a little bit confusing, but I feel like there's some chance that Alito's best friend back in the day could still be there, and now he's in Barian World with Iris still. Or maybe the actual villain could actually be number 96. Now, we've seen number 96 in a few episodes of YGO ZEXAL time and time again. He's technically he's not really a big villain, but he did manage to play in a few big parts of it. Because number 96 was actually a part of Don Thousand. Also, a bit of the dark side of Astral inside his heart. Because Don Thousand was the one who actually created him in the first place. When Don Thousand and Astral dueled each other years ago to battle against for the Numeron Code, when they collided, the Numeron Code not only just scattered, but also Don Thousand planned this from the very beginning. He planned to put a dark scent of his cell inside of Astral's heart in order to blacken it while in this process. And that way, that's just when number 96 was actually born. And honestly, I never knew that when I actually played when I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelists on the PC version. Which now, by the way, I actually now have Link Evolution there on the Nintendo Switch. But it was fascinating to me that I never knew from the very start that number 96 was actually a part of Don Thousand, which was absolutely shocking. I had to look back up in a little bit in the series, and wouldn't you know it, he was right. He was correct, and I never knew. So that was a little bit of an interesting note there that I could take, and that's why I feel like that number 96 could be an ultimate villain for this entire movie as well. Aside that fact that, the King, who is Alito's friend, or even Iris, could be the new villains out there. And as I said about Don Thousand, maybe not. It's just depending what he has in store. If he does come back for this Yu-Gi-Oh! ZEXAL movie that I think should happen, I don't know. It's possible, but I don't think it might happen. Here's the next idea that I was actually thinking of for a Yu-Gi-Oh! ZEXAL movie. If none of these people are actually, the actual villains, maybe the new villain could actually be someone from another universe. So let me try to dial it down for you just a bit. So we have Earth, right? And then first off, we had Astral World, where Astral lives in. We have Barian World. Those were the three worlds that had to battle it out for survival. Though technically speaking, Earth and Astral World were kind of working together, since that Yuma Tsukumo and his friends were from Earth, Astral from Astral World, and Barians, they were all focusing to destroy Earth and Astral World. That's what mostly the plan was. Or usually most of the time, the Barians would have to manipulate the humans in order to duel people, in order to grab numbers and use the numbers to possess humans to defeat Yuma, Astral, Kite, and Shock back in the day. But imagine if there was actually a fourth world out there, a fourth universe that could be targeting now all three of the worlds at once. And I'm trying to think of a color here. I don't know why I'm thinking of a color. Maybe cyan green, I guess. Because think about it. It's, Earth is kind of yellow. That's like its sun. Astral World's sun is blue, I guess. And Barian World's sun is kind of red. The sun could possibly be, I don't know. It could be just be like cyan green, blue, whatever the heck it is. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know if purple is the recommendation, or even black. I mean, that would be way too dark, to be honest. So I feel like cyan blue could work. Maybe just you think that they're good people, but maybe, in the inside they have a dark secret. You know what I'm talking about? Maybe that could work. I'm just trying to, make some good ideas here, but I feel like that's a good choice of, appearances. Oh, you judged a book by its cover, but guess what? It's freaking evil. It had a freaking dark core in the freaking sun or planet's core in this fourth universal world, whatever the heck this thing is. You know what I'm talking about. I know I'm sounding a lot crazy at this point, but, I just wanted to put it out there. in a crazy way, but in its own interesting way as well. Okay, now so I want to talk about, the characters themselves. I mean, if we're going to have these new characters, or probably bring old characters but they were never used, such as Iris, Storm 1000, Number 96, or even perhaps the King, Alito's friend, or even perhaps we have some of the old characters as well and do more stuff this time, like Elephas. He was only seen in a few episodes of the final season of Yu-Gi-Oh! ZEXAL when he was dueling. He saved to protect Astral from absorbing the Numeron code. That was another thing. Or maybe, how I talked about, this extraordinary fourth world that could be the new threat entirely, could possibly have some other different characters instead. Different beings from that universe. Just like how they did with Astral and the Barians, all that kind of sort of stuff. Of course, you can add new human friends as well, of course, if you'd like. I mean, why wouldn't you? And also, with Yuma Tsukumo, the one and only Yuma Tsukumo, maybe there could be a chance that he should probably have a new design. And I've seen a new design of Yuma Tsukumo before, and it looks pretty good. I'm not that quite sure whether it was an early design, or maybe there was for the future movie, which I feel like it could be. So if you look at Yuma Tsukumo originally, he had this red vest, and he had white pants, blue shoes. He also had this green and blue t-shirt underneath the red vest. But if you look at this design, this looks pretty cool. It looks epic, and that's a better design for Yuma Tsukumo. It looks amazing. It maybe looks simple, but it suits him to the bone perfectly. Oh my god. Just put a black jumper around just underneath the red vest, and boom, there you have it. You got the new Yuma Tsukumo. You don't need to change the pants. You don't need to change the suits. You don't have to change anything. And of course, don't forget the golden key. Always keep the golden key, people. It's very valuable to him. And you know what? There could be a possibility that Yuma and Astral could merge back into Zexal once again, depending on which Zexal transformation you could probably put it. You could bring back Zexal number 1, 2, 3. Heck, maybe even the Dark Zexal might be able to come back. And heck, I didn't even think about it earlier, but maybe he could be the next new villain, or maybe a sidekick villain, perhaps something like that. Or maybe there could be an absolute 100% Zexal form. Maybe like a freaking form that even surpasses Ultimate Zexal. You know what I'm talking about. It's that freaking Dragon Ball stuff I'm talking about. Go further beyond the power of Zexal in this case. So yeah. But you know what? That's actually not too bad, because there has been a few things about when it comes to the cards as monsters or spell cards. Like take for Shiny number 0, Utopic Zexal, for example, or even Creator of Hope, Creator of Miracles. That was actually one thing, which actually had like the design of Zexal in it, and I was like, maybe that could possibly work. Maybe have a little bit of blue instead of yellow this time, most of the time, because Zexal number 1 and Ultimate Zexal did mostly have yellow. Well, as for Zexal number 2, he had like orange hair and a white uniform with a little bit of green and black. And as for the Dark Zexal, well, technically he had black hair, and it was just all the same, but just like, you know, it's a doppelganger of Zexal number 1. But you get the idea. If there's another Zexal that could actually appear, that'd be awesome. And another thing, also, like, maybe Tori could possibly duel a little bit more this time. I know it's a bit interesting. Like, I know that Tori lost a few life points during the World Duel Carnival, where she was tagging along with Yuma, or even perhaps dueled for the first time in the friendship games. Like, that was cool. That was cute. But I feel like it could be a possibility that Tori could have the possibility to duel more often now. Because I feel like she could do it. Like, if she can at least pull it off, I hope so. Don't know about Kairi, because Kairi did duel, but in an interesting way on her laptop, just fighting the crash bug virus back in season 1. It was interesting. I don't know where the freaking hell you can do that, but that's cool, I guess. But I'm just still very confused. But maybe Tori could have a possibility of having the decency to now be taught to duel. Whoever the heck is going to teach her, that is. I mean, I don't know who the heck is going to teach her. Yuma, Shock, Kite, Astral. Astral will probably be a good teacher, since that he knows the basics and the strategizing to duels. That makes a lot of sense. Anyone else, I'm not too sure. There are a few good teachers around here, like Quentin, for example. He taught Kite Tenjo. That could work. And speaking of the other characters in general, all of them could probably play a very big role for each situation that they're in, depending on where the heck they are, where they're gonna duel, who they're gonna duel, and will there be drama? Will there be comebacks? Will there be something? Just something epic, like how Yu-Gi-Oh! ZEXAL series has been going for the few years, ever since it finished. And I really want that to happen. Like, I want that to work for this movie, if it ever comes out. And I want a movie, even if I keep begging for it so many times over and over and over again. I mean, why wouldn't I? It's the best it's the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. The very first best Yu-Gi-Oh! Series I ever watched. So I know I'm being very, very hyped to this situation. Why? But this is the reason why I'm using this mad theory to freaking talk about this now, because, you know, there's a lot of things that can happen, and I really want to see something like that happen, just like how they did the classic duel monsters with Dark Side of Dimensions. They should do the same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! ZEXAL. And by the way, there could be some more Yu-Gi-Oh! Series movies, or maybe like short movies perhaps, that I feel like we should also talk about in the near future, like special movie crossovers, or whether they're short or going to be freaking long, I don't care, but I feel like those should be good things as well, as perhaps. I was even thinking about having a Bonds Beyond Time 2, which is based on Zexal, Arc 5, and Vrains, because I feel like that should be a thing. A lot of people in the fan base have been trying to do that. I kind of like it, but there really has to be like a bit of adjustments to it, and how we can actually adapt into it as well. But for the time being, I think, to be honest, that's going to be all for now with this video. I just wanted to bring that up for whether Yu-Gi-Oh! ZEXAL will be getting its own movie, like trying to follow up from the very last episode and making that as a movie from there. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you liked it, please like and subscribe. That would be appreciated. And don't forget to click on the notification bell to never miss a video. And yeah, I just gotta stop. There will be more Yu-Gi-Oh! Related things, especially with Zexal or any other kind of series that I now like for Arc 5, Reigns perhaps, or even the new season that's come, the new series like Sevens perhaps, which hasn't come out as an English dub yet. I am very disappointed, but I'm waiting. But I feel like this should be now really pointed out now too, because I really want to get this through out of the way first off. And yeah. So, again, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, my name is Mad Dog, and peace out!